Hey, it's me, the best Freddie Freeman impersonator that you've seen in quite a while. With not as good of a front hairline, but with better glutes. Ironically, I'm just calling balls and strikes over here. Um, hey, my name's Dean, and I just wanted to make a video. Talking about something that's been weighing on my heart recently is um, two things that kind of have to deal with each other. Uh, in one hand, it's the the manosphere and this red pill narrative that's going on in the world, and in the other hand it's dating. I wanted to make this video because I've seen things firsthand of guys subscribing to this narrative, and also I think it probably does take a hold of younger males out there that are very impressionable and that are like me, that maybe don't have parental figures in their life that role model such things. I'll be the first one to tell you that I don't have everything figured out. I am not like these guys that you see on social media platforms throughout the years saying, hey, if you buy my online course for this amount of money, I'll show you how to pick up women. That's actually the exact opposite of me. Definitely, I'm just saying that this is my perspective. This is not a sure thing of how to go about every interaction, and definitely more grounded. And again, just advice given in a more subtle way. Jumping into it is that, yeah, the reason why I want to make this video is just because I've seen these things, heard from girls that I've dated, that even guys older than me, again, just subscribe to this narrative and these things out there. And I think to me, it's kind of a sign, and this isn't to make anyone upset, that they're finding their identity in these cultural things that are going on, instead of finding them in more grounded ways that will in turn kind of make you more secure and happy in your life. That again is my perspective. Even me reflecting upon my life, I feel like growing up in pop culture, there was like a time during like the early 2000s of shows going on, like The Pickup Artist.
Meet the world's most successful pickup artist. A man who goes by only one name.
Mystery.
And I looked this one up the other day, but it's called Beauty and the Geek.
We searched all of America to find these 7 geeks. Searched the country for these 7 beautiful women. These 2 groups of people are from completely different worlds. And those worlds are about to collide.
Hello, ladies.
And shows like that, that were just like impressionable to young kids. And I remember like watching them and being like, oh, wow. And I feel like from that time was kind of the evil Knievel jump from that to what's been going on probably for the last 5 years, again, of just this this like manosphere red pill scenario that guys have in their head of things that they need to be, and what women are, and this is what women want.
Boom in her face and grip her up by the neck. Assault, bitch!
I don't give a shit about having sex with beautiful women. I fuck them so they listen to me, so I can get what I actually want. It's a means to an end.
If I have responsibility over her, then I must have a degree of authority. For the same reason, if I have responsibility over, and everyone's going to lose their mind, it's an example, it's only an analogy. If I have responsibility over a child, I have to have some authority. You cannot be responsible for something that doesn't listen to you. You can't be responsible for a dog if it doesn't obey you, or a child if it doesn't obey you, or a woman if it doesn't obey you. Yeah, they're all over the internet because I'm a bad boy.
Andrew, you need to be more misogynistic. This woman just spilled my coffee.
Bitch! Bitch! Bring some paper towels! We're doing a fucking podcast! Jesus Christ.
Andrew, don't be a misogynist.
All cheating scenarios, 100% of the blame is always on the female. Look after yourselves. When was the last time you put some makeup on? Do some burpees. You got a fucking gut. Sort yourself out so you can end that confusion bullshit. While we're on subject of cheating, if your man does cheat, the most stupid thing you can do is leave him.
I think we should have 100 more Andrew Tates. Why don't we need more of that? Why wouldn't you want more Andrew Tates?
And I think also another funny thing is just when people generalize any group of people out there, like, oh yeah, you know, this is what women want. Like you know, sometimes women can do this, you know. Oh yeah, you know, men da 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 da. And it's always been funny when like girls kind of tell me like something like that because I don't know. I don't want to consider myself special or anything, but I would say that like there's probably other guys out there like me that just aren't after one thing, which is Pokemon cards. No, but yeah, just kind of interesting. No, with that being said, I have always found it funny when girls. This is probably like one of the few things that I'll say regarding things that I've heard girls say in my life, and kind of poking fun at it to a certain degree is that girls I've heard say sometimes, you know, to me or like what I see online is, oh yeah, like, yeah, girls don't care about looks. And again, going back to the whole subtlety thing is that when you meet someone, they just have to cross like a certain threshold of being attractive to you to want to date them, to have kids with them. So I've always found that funny when that's said. Again, just people generalizing, whether it be like their whole base or another whole base, and it just makes me laugh. You know what looks maxing to me was growing up? Going between the show The Biggest Loser, eating however many Oreos I could fit between my thumb and my index finger while drinking a whole glass of milk, and then switching between that and Laguna Beach to immediately feeling bad about myself and then doing as many sit-ups as I could before the commercial break. But yeah, that was looks maxing to me growing up. Lord knows that there was sometimes growing up, if you see pictures of me, that it looks like I never flipped back off of one of those channels to the next. So kind of funny. But kind of jumping into it, my first bit of advice, just from what I've seen in life, again, is that to not put women up on a pedestal. That's not to say that you can't be a gentleman or chivalrous to women. I know probably me saying that, some guys that do kind of make it their personality of some of these things that I've said that are disheartening earlier on. They're like, oh, well, Dean, you said, you know, this and that about women. Are you saying like not to treat them special? You know, there's always some line that you cross with people that like they've made it more of their identity than they probably should, and then it's then they're trying to defend it to some degree. But more so is that when you put women up on a pedestal, I know I used to do that growing up, that you don't go about treating them in an authentic way. And also, I think in turn, when things don't work out with them because you have them up on a pedestal, that some resentment grows from that. And with that resentment comes anger. And with those emotions and not having a healthy way of talking about them for men, that it makes, again, men kind of have these identities that gravitate towards these narratives that have to think about women as less than, to kind of cope with that hurt, which I just think is sad. Yeah, are women different than men? Yeah, have they lived life through a different lens because of their gender? I would say so, but I wouldn't say it needs to maybe go to the extent that some men make it out to be. They're humans just like you are. And sorry for any aliens out there, by the way. Holy cow, if you're watching this. They're like, "Cleek, cleek, cleek." He's not including us. Here comes the man in black. Okay, I can't believe I went alien route, Men in Black. Okay, real quick side note. This is totally off on a random tangent. When I was younger, I had an iPod. I had an iPod, and my sister had one as well. And I had all these songs on my iTunes library. And my sister saw that I had all these songs, and she wanted them on her iPod, on her iPod. And then she was like, "Oh, here, I'm gonna try and download your songs from your iPod onto my laptop." And my sister only had one song on hers. And so we tried to do it, and it erased all my songs off my iPod, and it only left it with one song that my sister had. And it was it was Will Smith getting jiggy with it. And in that moment, my sister saw that happened to my iPod, and I had to calm my nerves and be like, and not show her how upset I was. And I was like, "Oh no, I think I can listen to that song forever." Oh my gosh. And my sister's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Oh no, I really love that one song." Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Okay, back. You can see where I kind of got to that because of Men in Black, Will Smith getting jiggy with it. But okay, I'm gonna have to cut out some of the laughter maybe. But yeah, just not putting women up on a pedestal. And again, like, you can pine after them to some degree. You can be a gentleman, but there is some like breaking point of like putting women too high up there on a priority list. Guess what? You should be living a passionate lifestyle of living life on your own. And then when someone comes along, they are something that's added on, not something that is has so much of your attention, where so much of your happiness comes from. Your identity should be built around things that just, again, kind of ground you. If you don't have those things, I would say just like venture out and look for them. Friends, family, again, time by yourself. So that kind of bleeds into the next bit of advice that I have, is that for men, is just to keep a well-rounded lifestyle. Guess what? Still hanging out with your friends, working on passion projects. If your friends are busy, guess what? Just like send them a text and say, "Hey man, like, let's just talk on the phone." I know sometimes that can be hard. I know sometimes, like, I feel like sometimes in this day and age, a lot of people don't like to talk on the phone. And I'm just like, okay, interesting. But yeah, just finding some way to stay balanced. I remember growing up that I felt like I couldn't do anything by myself. I wouldn't be actually too surprised to hear that a lot of young people feel like that. A lot of your, I mentioned this in another video, but a lot of your, like, a reflection of yourself and feeling comfortable comes from people being around you. And then, growing up, again, I wouldn't say that this is too out of the norm. I think some people gravitate towards this, is that, like, when you're alone, you kind of actually feel more free. That's how I feel. that's how I feel. I know going to therapy and unpacking some things, it's led me to kind of shed a lot of emotional weight. And one of those things is just doing things by myself. Funny story to go along with that, to kind of give a prime example, is that when I was in my younger 20s, I remember I was talking to this girl, and we had been talking for a little bit at that time, and I texted her saying, "Oh yeah, hey, how's your night going?" All with the intention in my head is if she wasn't doing anything, I was going to go and hang out with her. And she replied back, "Oh, I'm gonna jump into a jacuzzi over at my friend's house, and I'm hanging out with my friends." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, yeah. I was just checking and seeing what you were up to tonight. Yeah, I'm busy. I'm getting a PF Chang's with my friend tonight. So yeah, I'll let you go, but hope you have a good night." And I was just at home playing video games. I was just and we were dating for months after that, to the point where we went on like a little road trip to go visit her aunt in this pretty cool town. I don't remember what it was. And we went to this like one pretty cool mall, and we were driving around looking for a parking spot, and we saw PF Chang's. And I told her, I was like, you know what's funny? I've never eaten at a PF Chang's. And she was like, "Yes, you have. When we were first dating, you said that you got PF Chang's with your friend." And I was like, "Oh man, you caught me." And then I kind of had to go on this little explanation tour of, "Oh yeah, I honestly wasn't doing anything that one night, and I just didn't want to seem like a loser." So, that was funny. That was funny. You know, the things that we do when we're younger to seem like someone that we're not. I don't know, but a very funny example of that. So yeah, just a balanced lifestyle, grounding yourself with certain things, and it's kind of reflecting upon yourself and what you need about what those things are. The next thing I would give advice to is being intentional about things. I know that word, if you say that within dating, it kind of like perks up like the girl's ears that you're dating, because they may have dated a guy that hasn't been very intentional. Lord knows, for every girl I've dated, there's been at least one story that they've told me of some guy that hasn't been intentional. Lord knows I may have been that in some relationships growing up. Like unbeknownst to me at the time, kind of, but also at the same time, like staying in relationships longer than you should have as well. Being intentional about things. One of them is where you go out on dates. I know when you're younger, it's hard. You don't have a lot of money. Your bubble's small. But just being aware of things. What I've done growing up is using social media to get off of social media to live life more. I look up things. You may live in a area around the world or in the United States that, guess what, you don't know of exactly what to do because there's not a lot going on around you. My heart goes out to you. I live in Southern California. You have to drive maybe a little bit out of the way to experience some cool things, but yeah, it's it's good to be doing these things on your own again, and then when someone comes along, you can do them with this person. But yeah, if you were to look at my Google Maps, maybe I can throw it up on the screen right now. You would swear it's like a diagram of like the United States and Southern California of how many people have solar panels on their house. But no, these are just things that I save. Things that I've done, some of them, not all of them, of things that I've done that are pretty cool. I know I mentioned in another video that I took a girl on a date to a pottery class. I just did that because I remember earlier on in school, in like elementary school, we did something with pottery and I thought it was fun. But, that's being intentional. It's being intentional. And not all these things are like, have to be like really expensive either. Another thing is the clothes that you wear. I know that can be hard for some guys. I remember being younger myself, not to make all these points about myself, but more so just to give an example, is that I used to stay very safe in a lot of ways of what I wore. You know, I only like I remember thinking back to kind of these very few pieces that I would wear. And I remember thinking to myself throughout years of my life is that like I wasn't living life. I wasn't showing up and really not that it's all about people noticing you, but like if you keep on showing up the same day in like two different outfits, you might as well just become part of the furniture. You might as well just become part of the furniture. And also, it, like I would say, more of it obviously has to do with how you feel about the clothes that you are wearing. Again, I can totally understand that it's like a little hard to step outside of that box. It's kind of up to you to find what that safe place is of what that next step is, but then kind of like finding the next thing in which to take a step towards. Hopefully, I can share more of that, of just like things that I've been more adventurous in wearing. And then kind of another thing that's said so many times online, all these things in which we see going to the gym or just staying healthy, eating healthy, it'll make you feel good about yourself. Surprise, surprise. And I think just honestly rounding out this video is me just kind of sharing a little bit of maybe like my mentality and then my experiences that when I see a girl that's out that I think is cute, I think to myself, oh yeah, that girl's cute. Oh, like her outfit's cute. Let me just, if she comes by, let me just stop her and say, hey, I just wanted to say I thought your outfit was cute. And it's not anything above that, in all honesty. Sure, do I think that they're pretty? Yeah. Do I think that their outfit's cute? Sure. But I don't know anything more about them besides that. And when they take that compliment, obviously it can go well, and that's great. I would say a small piece of advice is like after that compliment, just going to your name. I remember being younger and saying, oh yeah, something. And then the girl would just be like, oh, okay, thanks. And I'd be like, okay, bye. So honestly, compliment, they say something in return. And just obviously if it's a good response, hey, my name's Dean, what's yours? And then also sometimes it doesn't go well. Sometimes they don't respond to it well, which I would say going into this compliment, it would be good to be like secure within yourself, but I know that's kind of hard, and secure to some degree at least. And when if they take it in not the best way, that just say, oh yeah, it's just a compliment, like just wanted to give you a compliment. I know that the very few times that's happened to me, I've just responded in that way, and like the way that I reacted almost made them reacting in such a way make them feel, I could tell it almost like like they almost took into consideration how they acted in such a negative way, just to me being like, oh okay, yeah, I just wanted to say I liked your outfit. And that's what we have the power to do in those moments. Again, it helps with being secure with yourself, but yeah, not further ahead than where you actually are. And lastly, just a little bit about me is that kind of connecting back to the beginning of this video, is the last like three or four girls I've dated. This isn't to say woe is me, but I have been hurt by them in a very one-sided fashion. And do I wish these things didn't happen? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I won't let those situations generalize every other interaction I go into, because one person isn't like the other. Also, if I go into these new situations with hurt from the past, it's going to be some self-fulfilling prophecy of me not trusting someone, and maybe things not turning out the way that they could go in such a great way if I come in with this skewed vision. I wouldn't say it's bad to have, some reserves up and kind of, again, pacing out things, but I think to have such a high guard and to be so sensitive to some degree of like the pain that you're taking in and kind of pouring onto someone else is unfair. With those hurts, again, I won't let resentment drag me down to a place of anger in which I take out onto someone else. That's not fair to this world, and for narcissist people out there, also, it's not fair to yourself. But yeah, these are just some of the thoughts that I wanted to share and a bit of my story. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you guys are doing well. See ya.